You know, Chris said obviously be active to the fan and then his family after the game. He sent a tweet out, obviously upset. You know, you had a chance to talk with him. Did you even know that was even going on during the time?
I didn't know what was going on. I thought somebody was just heckling our bench, and I was focused on the game. And then I got like bits and pieces of it, but I couldn't even give it attention. Then I found out after the game what was going on. It's a hard one because it's happening more and more, and the situations are getting to a place now where I really feel like families who are in to support their loved ones need to be protected a bit more. Whether or not we have to give these people, our family members, a section or suite, something has to be done because we can't wait for it to get to a level or two higher before the league or we do what we need to do. Yesterday was unnecessary, certainly not indicative of the fans that I've dealt with in Dallas. These are usually isolated incidents, but they do happen. And they just seem to be happening more and more. The stuff that you hear in game, it is below board at times, but we've learned how to play and coach above it. But when you start to put your hands on somebody's family member, that's a different deal. So I understood Chris's frustration after the fact. You just wish these things didn't happen, but I do believe we can do more to protect families so that they can come to the game and support their loved one.
Money is just the last thing you want them to worry about, right? Like going back.
Yeah, I mean,
don't want them to even think about something.
I don't think we will. I think Dallas will take care of it. They'll take the precautions necessary to make sure everybody's safe so they can enjoy the game. And as a player and a coach, like, you know, when I'm on the road and my family's coming to see me, I am concerned at times, but not because I think somebody's going to put their hands on them. I'm just concerned about what they may hear. You know what I mean? That's just part of the deal. We all know that. But when you start to put your hands on people, especially women, like, come on, man. Like a guy can handle himself in a crowd, but when you start putting your hands on women, that's a different deal. And we all want to protect our families. And I understand the frustration that Chris displayed. And I've known Robin Paul and Jada Paul for a while. You got to have some real issues to put your hands on them. You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully it's an isolated incident and we can just get back to focusing on the game. Again, I thought it was just a heckler. You know, I didn't think much of it. And then when I saw how upset Chris was, I realized it was a bit more. But again, I had to get right back to the game because it was still a winnable game, I think. And once I found out after the fact, I was a bit annoyed that would go on. Because the last thing we want is for somebody to have to go into the stands to do anything. We just don't want that. And so to protect us and the game from having those kinds of things happen, we got to go through the protocols, if you will, to make sure that those things don't happen.
Coach, another thing about that too is if guys are focused on family and keeping them safe.
Yeah, I think we've learned how to do both without like going too far. I mean, I look up at my family at a home game just to see if my boys are fighting, that kind of thing. So I'm aware of that, but I've never had to worry about anybody putting their hands on my family. You know what I'm saying? And that's something nobody should have to do. And again, I have to stress, I don't think this is indicative of the fans in Dallas. They're cheering for their team. I've never had this kind of incident in that arena, even going back to the older spot, the arena that they have. Never. Reunion arena, never. It just doesn't happen. Some places you go, you hear some things that are below board, but it's part of our job to focus and not put too much stock into those kinds of comments.
So was that sometime late in the fourth quarter actually when it was going on?
Chris was already fouled. He had already fouled out. So. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you. What were some of the effective ways that they were able to speed up the offense?
No, I think a lot, both. I mean, I've said this a number of times. Like, we've turned the ball over 17 times a game. I think 3 games in a row. Like, that's not us. We've fallen into a little bit of, playing out of the net, especially off of threes on the road. Like, that's not something you want to do. We want to be able to play in transition. And one of the things that's hurting us is just that. We're not getting the stops that we need to. In particular, the offensive rebounding. We'll get a first shot stop, but we're giving up a timely offensive board, and that's keeping us from getting out into transition the way that we're capable and the way that we've done all season long. Then the foul trouble probably hurt us with Chris yesterday. It kind of threw our rhythm off a little bit. I think we'll be much better tomorrow, just with a heightened awareness as to what they're trying to do. They've made some adjustments, and now we have to, counter those adjustments by just doing what we do a lot better.
You heard the exchange that Lucas said after the game with Chris Paul. I said, "Did I push you that hard?" And he said, "No, not really, but it was a good play." How do you, overcome or manage the gamesmanship and the craftiness that Lucas can, especially with his size?
Well, I think we both do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Chris does it, Book does it, Luka, like all the really good players do it. In game 3, like we got him in foul trouble. I think one of the fouls was on the baseline, and it was minimal contact. I forget who it was. They just fell. It's just part of the game. Yeah, that's it. I'll say something. Take more money out of my pocket. I gotta keep it. Nah, my thing is, the one thing that people forget about guys like Chris is they need to be checked on. And I called him last night just to check on him, just as a man, a brother. He had one of those. It was Mother's Day. And your parents and your wife come to your game and they get harassed. And then you have a tough game. Like, I wasn't even concerned with the game as much as I was concerned with just him as a man, having dealt with that. You know what I mean? So the basketball part, we talked about it today. We got back to the conversation of how do we get back to solid playing Suns basketball consistently. And that was a lot of our conversation. Him, myself, Book, and DAJ, all of us, just talking about getting back to who we are.
Monty, coming into this one, there was the focus on what Aiton could do, considering the personnel they have over there. Game 1.
Yeah.
They've really cut the minutes of Powell since, and they've been playing more stretch fives.
Sure.
What's the strategic move? How can
Think I'm gonna tell you now?
I would love for you to tell me.
I'd love to grow hair, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
How did that affect the series in game 3 and 4?
Well, again, I think the turnovers have really hurt us. DA's been pretty efficient from a percentage standpoint. We haven't gotten the possessions. They've been in the positive as far as possessions, and that can hurt any team. And they're packing the paint a little bit more. We've been decent in getting the ball to the second side and looking to attack, and so that can take away his opportunities. And they've made some adjustments. Earlier in the series, the paint was wide open, and he was dominating down there and hitting the short roll. Now, when he catches it, he and JaVale, like they catch it, it's like a lot of people down there. So I think we got to open up the floor by hitting the second side, and then maybe later in the game, it will open up for him.
Bonnie, I'm sure you guys have the numbers, and I'm guessing 16 corner threes allowed is a really high number compared to everything else you guys have. What does that mean for you as a coach when you're giving up that many? Because you guys have been so good there.
We're just in rotations. It's way too many. Like, you're going to be in rotations over the course of a game, but we've been in consistent rotations. And a lot of it is being able to guard the ball, but they've done a really good job of cutting, and that cutting has put us in rotations unlike any other concept that we've dealt with this year. So we got to do a couple of things to counter the cutting.
Monty, when we were sitting up there, we heard a loud celebration. You guys celebrated something?
Just normal Suns day. Somebody probably hit a half court shot or, said, you are growing hair. Like, I don't know. We just normal Suns day.
When you look at the Tory in terms of him possibly defending Luka because he doesn't have size, the quickness, or to match up, how important would he be if he was able to get him back, even to give him that shot?
Could be him, could be Ish. Okay. Luka was 1 for 10 from the 3 and, hit some tough shots around. The last one he got on Cam, like that was probably his easiest bucket. He had another one where DA was guarding him and Cleaver screened Book, and then he went around them both. But I thought DA had a really good block on him, guarding him one-on-one. You're not going to stop Luka. I mean, you could put Torrey or anybody on him. He's still going to be able to find a way to be effective. The last 2 games, we've given Luka and Brunson, Luka and Finney-Smith. That's been the thing that's hurt us. A lot of it has just been the turnovers, but their ability to force us in the rotations.
It felt like Book was pretty aggressive attacking the rim yesterday. Is that something you guys had identified or something he just felt? Nah,
we're a paint to great team. He was just able to go paint to rim a few times, and we want to continue to do that. We hope that opens up the backside for threes, but that was just him reading the game.
This feels like so far home court advantage has been huge in this series. Does it feel like that to you, or is it just what's going on in the court?
Well, I mean, yeah, it has been, but you have to take advantage of it. I mean, we worked our tails off to be in this position. That's why I always not laugh, but when people say the regular season doesn't mean anything, yeah, it does. I mean, it allows for you to create this opportunity and advantage, and we plan to take advantage of it.
Jay's been your most consistently hot hand this series.
Jay, Cole, what is this, like the White House briefing today?
So
go ahead.
Just wondering, how did he look in practice today after he hurt his ankle?
He was okay. He came out better than we thought. When he came back to the bench, we were all relieved because when he started hopping on 1 foot, I was like, holy, this is not good. And then when I saw him, he looked at me, I looked up, he's like, Coach, I'm ready. I'm like, man. So he went back and they taped it up, pretty much put like a boot on it so he couldn't move it around, and he was still effective. Like I said, on the second side, Jay's been knocking down shots and attacking the paint. Defensively, he's been sound, as he always is, but it was huge to get him back. It kind of settled us down a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
White House brief.